Roll with the Changes by REO Speedwagon. And I'd like to welcome you to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 321, Cat Butt Plugs. And I got my usual one viewer who always appears to show up. So, hello. Thank you for arriving. I got two viewers now. Fantastic. Good to see y'all. I can't really technically see y'all, but thank you for coming into this show. It is November 9th, right? Yep, November 9th. And it's a Saturday night, as usual. And just a word of warning, you may hear my texts go off periodically during the show. My nephew goes to App State, and they are currently playing South Carolina on ESPN. It's like the game of the week or something like that. So they're excitedly watching it, so they're going to be texting us information about it right now. It looks like App State is actually winning right now at this time at 9:34 p.m. Eastern Time. App State is up 20-9 over South Carolina with 6:05 left in the third quarter. So good on them. 11-point lead. That's a two-score game. Fantastic. My Baltimore Ravens beat the New England Patriots for the first time this year. The Patriots lost a game, and the Ravens are the ones to beat them at home. So Ravens sitting pretty right now at 6-2. They play what is considered by most a pure definition of what a trap game is, which is they play in Cincinnati tomorrow, Sunday the 10th. Cincinnati currently has 0 wins on their schedule, but I think the Ravens are a better team. They will probably not get suckered into the trap game. I'm hoping anyway. Should be hopefully a good game, not too close. Actually, I kind of hope that the Ravens beat up on them a little bit, so we'll see. But can't say anything right now. But hey, it is. We're moving our way through November right now pretty quickly. As I said, it's the 9th already. And before you know it, Thanksgiving. Let's see. We got library books today, and library books are 3 weeks till they're due again. So they're due on the 30th of November, which is Thanksgiving weekend. So Thanksgiving is 3 weeks away. And that means that Christmas is additional 4 weeks away. So it's about 7 weeks until Christmas, 8 weeks till about the end of the year. And then we're finally hitting 2020 and we can brush this year off me. So it looks like there's only going to be about maybe 7 more episodes of Dylan Knows this year. Possibly, depending on timing and stuff like that. Might be less, might be more. We'll see what happens. But hey, you're here now. We're not here talking about this. It's going to be a probably pretty quick episode. I got about 2 pages. I was going to have a third page. I started writing it, but then I started rereading it. I was like, that's crap. I can't read my handwriting. So I tore it up and threw it away. And then I realized, oh, wait, I've come to a divider in my book. So I was like, I can't have another page after the divider. I've got to start my notes for 322 on this page. So we'll see what happens. But that's what we got. So this week, what do we got? We got cat butt plugs, obviously. We've got some Thanksgiving talk, a little bit of Christmas talk, some Northern Lights talk, some Australian talk. Good day, mate. No, that's fairly racist. Netflix stuff, trailers. Let's say Christmas stuff. New Funko Pops, new Oreo flavors. Oreo keeps coming with all brand new flavors. They got stuff. Dunkin's got some really good winter drinks coming up, which actually one of them has gotten me to do something that I didn't think I was going to do this early. Krispy Kreme is at it again. I always talk to you about them. Toddlers, lots of toddler stories in the news this week. Some animal stuff, some board games, advent calendars, Christmas trees. Local news. Pat Sajak is in the news. We'll talk a little bit about Pokemon Go, what's going on this week alone. Deshaun Watson, quarterback for the Texans, Houston Texans. You will not believe what he said cured the blindness in his eye, or rather the eye injury he had. It wasn't blindness, his injured eye, what he did that. An 8th grade science class came up with a pretty interesting idea, and some new ice cream, some casting in the Batman movie, which is interesting, nose warmers, which I might have talked about before, and there was that cat, coming back around to cat butt plugs, that ran on the field during Monday Night Football. So we'll talk a little bit all about that. And hey, there's another cat here, Felix the cat. Felix the cat is 100 years old. Wow. I know he was around this week. So Felix the Cat has been one of those. You see hit the clock all the time with the black and white and the little thing that back and forth. That's Felix the Cat. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Robert Zemeckis tried to get Felix the Cat, but they were not letting them use his likeness in the movie. So instead, they sort of tricked it as a little Easter egg. There's a scene where Eddie Valiant is entering Toontown, and he has to go through a tunnel. And if you look at the top of the tunnel, you can see Felix the Cat's head is drawn on the tunnel. So that's the way he got into it as well. But Felix the Cat is one of those that, I don't know much about. I don't think I've ever actually watched a Felix the Cat cartoon, but the fact that he came out in 1919 is pretty interesting and is probably one of the oldest cartoons out there. So, hey, happy birthday to you. 100 years to you, Felix the Cat. 30 years ago today, I remember watching this. I'm sure you guys probably did too. David Hasselhoff was singing on top of the Berlin Wall because on this date 30 years ago, 1989, the Berlin Wall fell down, which basically was sort of communism starting to show some signs of weakness. The Berlin Wall divided Germany. At that time was divided in West Germany and East Germany. And the communists controlled West Germany, I believe, or East Germany, vice versa, I have to remember. And then the regular democratic one was on the other side. So the wall was there for a good portion of the time. But I think I read somewhere that the Berlin Wall has now been down longer than it actually was up. So it's not as big of a deal anymore. But at that time, it was a major issue during the Cold War in the 1980s. So the fact that this is the 30th anniversary, I remember it coming down, people smashing and things down. And I said David Hasselhoff, who's big in Germany, was singing on the wall. And there's jokes in pop culture about the Berlin Wall and all kinds of stuff going on. I remember after the Berlin Wall came down, there were stores that were pushing actual pieces of the Berlin Wall, and they were pieces of wall that had like a little bit of graffiti on it because there was graffiti on the wall from the people who were tagging the wall, trying to get them to break it down. So 1989, 100 years ago. Not 100, that was Felix Cat. 30 years ago, 1989, Berlin Wall came down. Mammoth skeletons, there were 14, were found recently in Mexico, which sort of, I don't think they thought at that time, anthropologists, I didn't think they thought that mammoths made it that far south. But the fact that they did is like, oh, okay, this is kind of rewriting the anthropology dinosaur, well, it's not really a dinosaur, but a woolly mammoth story. So, hey, that's pretty cool. But 14 intact skeletons is pretty cool. There was an episode of Northern Exposure where they actually found a frozen, fully formed mammoth with skin and bone and stuff like that. And one of the characters took it and chopped it up and turned it into mammoth steaks. So that was kind of funny. I mean, I don't think that would be very smart, but whatever. Speaking of which, roasted turkey is going to be a smell and a taste we're going to be getting to in about 3 weeks. But if you want to, you can get a little head start on it with the roasted turkey Pringles, which is kind of an interesting idea. I've been trying to look for it. It's not in my grocery store. I've had some people say they try to look for it at like Target, Walmarts, and like the convenience stores in the area. They haven't been able to find it yet, but it is a thing. It's not fake news. It's a real thing. And I'd be interested to see what it actually would taste like and how you would get like a turkey flavor in, because to be honest, really turkey doesn't have a flavor, right? I mean, you get the gravy is what causes the flavor of the turkey, salt and pepper sometimes, and sometimes a lot of people, and I'm one of them, I love to swish it around in my mashed potatoes and eat it that way as well. And some people even put it on their put cranberry sauce on it. So should be interesting to see what we can do if they can to test that as well. A diver found a megalodon tooth in an underwater cave. It's quite an experience to go down there and say, holy God, what is this in this underwater cave tunnel system that they said down there. So that's a kind of interesting fact. The fact that proof that, that one time megalodons actually were real. Speaking of your good old Thanksgiving traditions, there's the turducken, which I need to change my Twitter name to eventually, because every year I'm turducken. And one year, I always keep saying, one year I'm going to try a turducken, which is turkey that has chicken and duck stuffed inside of it, and you cook it all together and then you eat it all together. I'd like to try that. I think it'd be really, really good because I'm a meatosaurus anyway, but it just seems kind of rather weird, I guess, to a lot of people. But turducken is just a funny name, and I like to use that as my Twitter handle. I'm actually a pilgrim right now. Wow, surprise. So you want to try something different. If you don't want to do turducken or regular old turkey, how about creamed possum? You can actually find creamed possum. I'm not actually sure where, but it's in cans, and you can get yourself some creamed possum. No, that just creamed anything really doesn't sound very delightful. I like corn, but creamed corn is awful. And just creamed anything is just, bleh, it makes me want to puke. So we'll see what happens. Creamed possum. That's what I should name the episode, not cat butt plugs. NASA just blasted cookie dough and a cookie oven into space, and they're going to try to bake cookies in outer space just to see, I guess, if it can be done because of the gravity and all the stuff. How would that work, and how would they taste, and how long would it take to bake it, and so on and so forth. So it should be an interesting. It's, science is a lot of different things, and that could be a good scientific thing to think about. Can you make cookies in outer space? We're going to find out soon. For those fans of Batman, you can get yourself a Batman decanter, which is a decanter is what stores alcohol in it, and you can pour it that way. If you don't want to use the bottle, you can use the decanter and put it out there and just pour it in your cup or pour it straight to your mouth, whatever. But this one looks like Batman. So for those fans who like Batman and who like a little bit of drinking in their life, check it out. Batman decanters are now available. Frozen 2 is going to be showing up in theaters in actually 2 weeks. It comes out the week before Thanksgiving, so I'll be coming up really soon. The trailers have shown that it's going to be quite different than the original one. It looks more adventure-y and not quite so romantic-y. So it could be an interesting one to look at. But in order to promote it more, Disney World is doing a lot of Frozen stuff in advance of the show. And one of the things that they're doing is there is now a new Northern Lights slushy, because North and ice and Frozen and stuff like that. I love anything to do with the Aurora Borealis, Northern Lights, and the Northern Lights slushy, the way they had it pictured on Facebook looked absolutely like it was kind of a liquid version of the Northern Lights. I mean, not like, it was different colors, stuff like that, but it looked like on the top, it looked like it had the swoopingness of a Northern Light with some whipped cream and stuff like that, and you were able to take it down. So that looks pretty interesting about that. Starbucks has 4 new lattes for the holiday season. First up is Mary Mocha Mint, which is your chocolate mint, which is the big deal now. Everyone seems to be doing a chocolate mint thing around this time of the year. That's their first latte. Toasted gingerbread. From what I heard, Starbucks is no longer doing their gingerbread latte. So, hey, go to Dunkin' and get yourself a toasted gingerbread latte. You can also have a frosted white chocolate drink, which is, for those who like the white chocolate. And finally, my favorite, holiday eggnog latte. It got me thinking about it so much that I actually bought a small container of eggnog, which I will probably drink tomorrow during the Ravens game, because I've been craving it. And yes, I do like eggnog. I always have. And I've actually drank it on the show before when I used to do my Christmas show with Jerry Fletcher. So we have that going out there. So if you are interested in any of those flavors, and they all come, I think, with whipped cream, caramel drizzle, and cinnamon sugar on it. Sounds like something good for those people who the pumpkin spice latte is moving out because it's no longer really fall. It only goes till about Halloween. I mean, it'll probably go through November, but you're going to start getting more of the Christmassy sort of stuff, and this is all Christmassy kind of thing. So that's very good too. Krispy Kreme is getting into the Thanksgiving spirit by releasing pie donuts, and I kind of remember them, I think, doing it last year. It's 3 different donuts. I think it's like a pumpkin, an apple, and I forget what the other one is, but they're filled with like pie stuff, so like the apple one is like filled with apple pie stuff, and it's got like an apple pie frosting on it, stuff like that. And then the pumpkin pie one would have pumpkin pie inside it, stuff like that. So those are always good. And Krispy Kreme is pretty good about doing that kind of thing. Christmas is coming, as I keep mentioning over and over again, an Elf on the Shelf. Your favorite Elf on the Shelf. Ours comes back the day after Thanksgiving. His name is Turkey, actually, believe it or not. And IHOP is getting into the Elf on the Shelf hysteria by releasing their Elf on the Shelf menu for the children and for adults if you want to like it too. So if you head on out to IHOP, I don't know if it's out now or if it's going to be coming out soon, you can go ahead and get yourself a little Elf on the Shelf food, and hopefully it'll be good for you. Looking for last minute Christmas presents. So it's not last minute since Christmas is still, as I said, about 7 weeks away. Dungeons and Dragons seems to be making a comeback recently, and you can now get Dungeons and Dragons Clue. I mean, everything else has a clue. Why not a Dungeons and Dragons Clue? It's huge. It's popular now. So that might be the big game for your Dungeons and Dragons fan. Going out there to your local game shop, pick up a copy of Dungeons and Dragons Clue. Now, also on the game front, I actually saw this in Target, took a picture of it because it looks good. It's the Blockbuster board game, which is obviously like a movie trivia sort of game, which comes in a box that looks like the old Blockbuster videotape. Let's see if I have a picture of it. Yeah, there it is right there. This is what the Blockbuster party game looks like. So it looks like your typical Blockbuster, video case, and it's for those who like the. I think, as I said, I think it's film trivia, and I think it'll be good for you to check that out if you like that type of thing. Again, last minute Christmas present. If you like, games are big right now, and there's a lot of really good games out there. Go online, check Amazon. They have a whole bunch of games. Facebook always mentions a bunch of games that seem pretty cool. And go to Target is actually a really good spot. They have a really big game section. So, check that out if you're into board games. There's a lot of really, really good gaming stuff out there right now. So Christmas is coming, as I said, might be a good gift for people like that. More Christmas stuff. Build-A-Bear always gets into the spirit of things. And this year they've got 2 Build-A-Bears that are going to be based on favorite Christmas movies. They just released this week that coming soon will be a Christmas Story bear, which will be a regular bear wearing Ralphie's pink bunny outfit from the movie A Christmas Story, which is my personal favorite Christmas movie of all time. I watch it every Christmas Eve. And I do it mostly after the kids are in bed and we've gone through our Christmas Eve progression, stuff like that, and they're in bed. My wife and I wrap each other's presents to each other at that point, and then Santa comes afterwards and drops off their presents. But during the time when I'm wrapping my presents to Dawn, my wife, she's wrapping presents to me in the living room so I can watch the movie and wrap my presents at the same time. So I got that going on for me. So we have that. And then also Christmas Vacation is always a big one. Last week I talked to you about the inflatables that are out there for Christmas Vacation. Well, now there's a Cousin Eddie Build-A-Bear, which I should get from my friend Sean because he loves that kind of stuff. And it's him dressed, it's the Build-A-Bear dressed in the Cousin Eddie robe and socks and hat that he wore when he was emptying when the shitter was full in his RV and he was emptying that into the sewage sewer area. So that's about like that. Oreo is getting, I think these aren't coming out till next year, I think. So this isn't anything because holiday related right now. They have the peppermint bark Oreos right now, and then they've got the Oreos with the red cream for Christmas as well. Next year, I believe these are coming out. I could be wrong. They might be popping up within the next month or so, but there's 2 new flavors coming out. And this actually, I think, is going to be the new flavor of the year. That's what I'm thinking is 2020. It's caramel coconut, which I guess is a mix of caramel coconut Oreo. And I've seen a caramel coconut something else coming next year as well. So it seems like that's going to be like the flavor of 2020. And then there's also going to be a chocolate marshmallow Oreo, which actually to me sounds delightful. I guess similar to their s'mores Oreo that we have, but instead of, I guess that's technically what it is. But maybe that might be thinking more along the lines of make it more like a pinwheel flavor and not so much as a s'mores flavor. So that's a possibility for that as well. So I'm not getting the coconut caramel because I hate coconut. But if I can find both the roasted turkey Pringles and the Oreo, the chocolate marshmallow Oreos, I will try them and I'll let you guys know what is going on with those. All right, that's right. Funko Pops are in the news. A whole bunch of Funko Pops were announced this week, including for my wife, and unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be out in time for Christmas. Duran Duran, which is one of her favorite bands, they're actually doing a Duran Duran Pops of the whole band, and they're going to have some Chase ones as well with them in various modes of undress, as it were. They're also doing Major League, the movie Major League, which is, I think, 30 years this year. Major League Pops, and also the Devil Wears Prada Funko Pops also are coming out as well. It's coming soon. I don't think it's this year, but it's coming soon. And I don't know where there they are right there. Devil Wears Prada. Now, I've also seen the newest thing they Funko Pops seem to be doing a lot of vehicles and stuff like that. Well, now they're upping their game, and now there's a bunch of Batman ones. There's a Batman where it's Alfred, and then it's Wayne Manor. So Alfred comes with Wayne Manor. And I think there's one with Batman, and the Batcave, I think, is another one. So you got the Batcave as well. And then I saw one, I just had it on top of my head. I can't remember what it was. It was another one that was a person, like a giant building or something like that. So that seems to be the new trend for Funko Pops as well. So that's good on that. Bigfoot is wanted by the Florida Police Department. So he's actually like not criminal number one, but they want to arrest him, I guess, and interrogate him for terrorizing people, vandalism, whatever. But they're looking out for him. They've got warrants out for his arrest and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. Here's some local news for you. Matt Judon, who is a player for the Baltimore Ravens, on Sunday night when they do their introductions of the team, they show a picture of them, and they tell their name and then where they went, usually where they go to college. Sometimes they say where they go to high school, or sometimes they do little jokey things. Like I remember Terrell Suggs said Ball So Hard University, which was Arizona State, but he called it Ball So Hard University. In this case, Matthew Judon, when he did his little introductory thing, he said, Matthew Judon, body by Taco Bell. And that got a huge laugh out of people. So the local Taco Bells here in Baltimore decided that this past Friday, yesterday, was going to be Free Taco Day. So if you went to Taco Bell, you could have gotten a free taco here in Baltimore anyway. You could have gotten a free taco because of what Matt Judon said, and they thought it was kind of clever and funny. And there you go, you got that as well. Lego unveils the 1989 Batman Batmobile Lego set. It's one of their biggest vehicle sets of all time. And it looks fantastic, but it is out there now in time for Christmas presents all over the place. If you want to get that as well, or holiday presents, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate, you can go ahead and get them for that as well if you have a Lego fan in your family. CIA documents say that life on Mars was observed in 1984 by remote viewing. Now, for those who don't know what remote viewing is, remote viewers are psychics who sit in rooms that have like no sound, like whatever, just completely silent rooms, and they sit back and they send their psychic waves out, and supposedly there's maybe some machine that the CIA is doing or whatever, which amplifies their psychic abilities, and you're able to spread it out. Now, in some ways you can tell if they use their minds. A lot of like Russians, stuff like that, use it to find spies and stuff like that. So they knew their locations. So they could send people in to kill them and stuff like that. Well, in this case, they say that remote viewers sent their psychic energy out from Earth and spread it all the way across space to go to Mars. And while they were there, they viewed life on Mars, running around and walking around. I don't know how true that is. Again, it's one of these stories that no one's going to say, yeah, that happened. They're going to sort of just kind of ignore it a little bit, as it were. But the fact that if it is true, that you've got that story, and you got a story of the 1970s Mariner crews who were watching the first landers on Mars from America, and they claim that they saw people walking around or whatever trying to fix things or just walk into view, whatever, to examine what these things are, because at that time they'd never seen these types of things before too. So someone said that they saw that, and then NASA again said no, this isn't, and sent it to some other server or whatever like that, so it's not real or whatever. So who knows? We'll figure out eventually if it's true or not. Some Netflix stuff coming up. For fans of Christmas movies and romantic comedies, The Night, K-N-I-G-H-T, Before Christmas trailer came out this week, starring Vanessa Hudgens from, I think, she was that star of High School Musical, I think. She plays a woman who wants a knight in shining armor to sweep her off her feet, blah, blah, blah. And on one snowy night, a few days before Christmas, while she's driving in the snow and can't see what's going on, a actual knight appears out of thin air, and she runs into him, and romance ensues, and he time traveled to there to try to find love or some other BS. It looks cute. It looks fun. And it might just be one little fun thing to just curl up and just watch it for some Netflix and chill time and watch it. I don't know exactly when it's coming out, but I saw the trailer for it. As I said, it's cute. We'll see how much, if I'll actually go see it or not. I don't know. Netflix is also turning, this just seems odd, the book from Dr. Seuss, Green Eggs and Ham, into a 13-episode series. Now, how the hell are you able to expand on Green Eggs and Ham for 13 episodes? Now, granted, they'll probably only be half an hour, but still, how do you do it? I don't know. But it's a thing, and it'll be coming out soon. I don't know exactly when, but they didn't have a trailer for it. They just announced it. James Corden, who I think does the Late Late Show, he invited not the entire cast, but Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston and Cate Blanchett, and I think Anthony Hopkins was there. Maybe not. I don't know. And Jeff Goldblum and Mark Ruffalo to perform a live version of Thor Ragnarok, but on a budget. So similar to the play that you saw in Thor Ragnarok, but instead they had the actual actors dress up in these really awful low-budget costumes, like with cardboard boxes and fake beards and cardboard helmets, and Thor's hammer was cardboard as well. And they performed the movie in front of a movie theater, I guess, for moviegoers who were waiting in line and stuff like that, not knowing right away that they were the actual stars of the movie performing this. They thought it was just some local group doing something fun. But that's kind of an interesting thing to do. And it's good that they had fun doing stuff like that. Just showed this to my daughter. Pixar has a new movie coming out next summer, 2020, called Soul. And the first trailer for it, teaser trailer for it, came out this week. And it looks, right now, from what I gathered from what I could get from the trailer, was a guy talking about how, you want to, if you want to do something, do it. Don't waste your life away, blah, blah, like that. He's a musician. And it shows him, he's on the phone with somebody saying, I got my first gig, I need to get a haircut. And then while he's walking through the street, he's got all the stuff in his hands and he's not really paying attention. He's on the phone, and a dog barks at him. And then he crosses the street and a biker almost hits him. And then he falls down a manhole, and then it's all black. And then you see his soul as a little white little ghost thing is in the darkness and runs into another soul. So it looks like that he died, and now his soul has to figure out a way to get back to life or something like that. As I said, just a teaser, but it's a really good teaser, and it's an original story. So it'll be good to see that, and hopefully we'll be pretty good about that. So Soul is going to be your Pixar movie for next year. Well, in the summer anyway. Onward is the other one. I think that might actually be more Disney and not Pixar, but that's coming up in March. I think time to be a little more serious now. No, actually, there is another trailer. I just happened to see that. Everyone knows there are hundreds of versions of Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. One of my favorites is Scrooged with Bill Murray. That came out 30 years ago this year. That's one of my Christmas ones I watch every Christmas. So there's Scrooge, then there's the musical version, Scrooge. There is the Patrick Stewart version. There's a George C. Scott version. There's the Alistair Sim version. There's the animated version. There's the other animated version. There's all kinds of versions of it all over the place. So it's one of the most remade and made movies of all time because it's a general story everybody knows, and it's a good story to tell about turning someone evil to good, and you always want that to happen. Now they're doing a different take on it. Tom Hardy, of all people, is directing this version of it, which is going to appear on FX, I guess probably in time for the holiday season. And it stars Guy Pearce and Andy Serkis. Guy Pearce will be playing Ebenezer Scrooge, and it looks like Andy Serkis might be Jacob Marley. But basically, it is more of a horror take on A Christmas Carol. From the trailer they showed of this version of it, they're ratcheting up the horror of it with ghosts and some of more horrific stuff. Like they have a shot of like a cave-in that kills a whole bunch of people, which happened in cold time during the time when Christmas Carol takes place. And it could be something they could blame Ebenezer Scrooge for, that type of thing. But the ghosts look more horrific than like your Christmassy type of ones you see all the time. And it just looks a lot darker, and it's actually an intriguing take on it and might be reason enough and different enough for me to actually maybe take a look at it. So we'll see. An Australian company has created a virus, they claim, that kills every type of cancer. They're going to start working with human subjects probably sooner than later. But right now they were able to, doing their scientific stuff and testing on different versions of cancer. Their virus actually does kill cancer, all types. If true, that could be the scientific discovery of the century, any century really. A toddler puts a classmate in a headlock because he asked her to marry him. So a little girl, was asked by a young boy if she would marry him, and she put him in a headlock because she said, "We're too young. We can't get married just yet." And so I thought that's kind of a cute little story and isn't going to take any guff from anybody. Another toddler story is this has videotape of it. So a baby was put in his crib, and the mom in this room that is the top of a bunch of like kind of stone steps, and the mom, believing that the child was asleep, went and did her things. That's what you do when you're a parent. You put your child down for a nap. You don't expect them to get out, and you go and you do your things you need to do. So she left the room, and the cat, their pet cat, was in there, just I guess not watching the kid, but just happened to be sitting in there on a chair. Notice, and there's like a nanny cam or something like that, so you can actually see all this stuff. And it showed the child got out of the crib and started crawling towards the stairs. And she was crawling, she couldn't walk. And so if she would have kept going, could have fallen down. And these are stone steps. It could have caused major, major damage to this child. The cat jumped into action and ran over and like blocked the kid's path and started scratching him, hitting him with the paws. And actually there's a view of him basically using the paws to push the kid back, and the kid goes back and starts waddling back or crawling back towards this thing, and the cat just stays on guard and watches to make sure it doesn't go down the steps again. So that was impressive for the cat. So for those people who say cats don't do anything, they do. Another sad story, a horse there's a picture of a horse laying its head on the coffin of its master. It's a horrible thing to say, the loss of his best friend, his human best friend. So this horse belonged to some guy or girl, I don't remember what it was. They died. They spent a lot of time together. They died, and the horse was at the funeral, and the horse put its head on the coffin, knowing full well that that was the body of their friend, and that animals are more aware of things than we think they are, which is what I've been saying for months now on my show. We'll go from smart animals to stupid people. An Instagram influencer, which I think is one of the stupidest things in the world. People who think just because they have millions of fans on Instagram, and I just lost somebody when I said Instagram influencer, millions of fans on Instagram, that they can influence people to do things. A couple of weeks ago, I told you a story about the Instagram influencer who offered to give this restaurant a 5-star review on Yelp and send the review out to all their Instagram followers in exchange for not paying for their dinner, which is stupid. So the restaurant said, no, we're not going to do that. You owe us money for the restaurant, for the food we made for you. And so they gave them a bad review on Yelp, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a deal because a lot of their Instagram followers probably don't even live in the same state as this place. So this Instagram influencer says that kids should not learn about World War II because it's bad for their mental health. The old mantra, those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it, is more than just a little mantra. It's an actual real thing. And if you don't know what you did wrong or whatever, or what went to a situation like this, that you're doomed to repeat the same situation. And World War II was terrible. Yes, it was. It's awful, but it's something you need to learn about. You need to learn about the Holocaust. You need to learn about Pearl Harbor. You need to learn about D-Day. You need to learn about all the deaths that happened in it, and the terror and the awfulness that happened from the mid-30s to the mid-40s. And the atomic bombs, stuff like that. And yeah, it might mess up your mental health, might make people upset, but you need to know this stuff. You cannot live in a bubble your whole life, because that will definitely not do you any good. Now, I can understand, and a similar thing is, I can understand why people would give participation trophies to people in sports competitions, but I think you need to learn that you can't always win, and you're not always going to get everything, because that's reality. And I don't think, everyone getting a participation trophy, well then, hey, why don't I even try anymore? I'll get a trophy anyway. You know what? No. Winning and losing. That way, if you lose, you can learn from your loss, and you can, it might make you upset, but you can learn to get power from that. And the same thing with learning your history. You need to learn your history, to the good and the bad, to just build up your character a little more and realize that, hey, things aren't always going to be hunky-dory and things aren't always going to go your way. Because if you don't learn that and you go out into the real world and their first experience with it, it's going to kill you. And you need to be aware that you can't always win. 8-year-old Mexican girl wins the World Calculations Championship in China. I didn't even know that thing was a thing, but her calculations were 100% accurate. I don't even know what they were calculating, but it was a actual competition, and an 8-year-old Mexican girl won it. So congratulations on that. Amazon is selling smart Christmas trees that have Alexa in it. So you can say, Alexa, turn on the Christmas lights, or Alexa, play Christmas music, or whatever. Or Alexa, say Merry Christmas, or something like that. So that's out there at Amazon now, because I guess Alexa is an Amazon thing, I guess. The final thing on this page is what's going on in Pokemon Go. Those who know their Pokemon know that Team Rocket is always like the bad guys who pop up all the time trying to steal all the Pokemon. And they have brought it into the world of Pokemon Go. So we're doing our Rocket event right now, where the music from Team Rocket is the music you're going to hear in Pokemon Go. Remember when I played the Lavender Town music at Halloween for you? Well, now the music for Team Rocket is... Whoops. There's your Team Rocket music. So that's been playing both day and night. And actually, I'm going to catch these Pokemon because this is one I don't need. But right now, we got a Team Rocket thing going on right now where you go to a Pokestop and you spin it, and the Team Rocket shows up, and then you have to fight their Pokemon. And if you win, you can save a dark Pokemon, and then you can purify them, and you get points, stuff like that. But now they're doing something different where they're actually doing where they're going to have the leaders of Team Rocket at hidden Pokestops, and the way you can find them is if you fight 6 Team Rocket people and get these devices that come together to form a big transmitter, which I got just today. So, bum, bum, bum. So that's what's going on right now. So that's going on for a while right now. So we don't know what's going on with that. So that's going to go on for a while. So my wife and I did our little grinding in the afternoon, and maybe we'll do some grinding tonight. We'll see. Anyway, going on to the next page. And yes, I will have cat butt plugs coming up very soon. Hence the name of the episode. I know it's around here somewhere. Well, if I don't see it on this page, I will let you know. There's got to be one. Maybe I didn't write it down. Maybe I thought it was too funny to write down. So I'll just tell you right now. You can now get... Oh, there they are. No, that's cat on. You can now get... There they are. Cat butt plugs. You can now get... Basically, they look like cat butt plugs. I don't exactly know what they're for. I don't think they're actual butt plugs because that's like a sexual thing. This is more along the lines of, I don't know, stopping their poop or something. I'm not exactly sure what it is for, but it's an actual like decoration you can put on. I don't know if it's decoration, but something you can actually put on your cat. Let me see if I can get more clarification on it. Cat butt. Search. Jewelry, that's what it's. Jewelry for your cat's butt. That's what it is. It looks like a cat, but it's actually jewelry that you put in the cat's butt. So, or it blocks the cat's block. I guess it's not really a butt plug so much as it's jewelry that hangs around the tail and covers the butt area. But still, I thought cat butt plug was kind of funny, and that was actually, if you look at the comments for it, that's what a lot of them are saying also. So you can get jewels for your cat's butt. So do with it as well. So Monday Night Football happened this past Monday, and it was the end of Halloween weekend in football. And on the field, at one point during the game, a black cat got on the field and started running around the field for about 2 or 3 minutes. They'd stop the game, try to get the cat off the field, but it became a whole big thing. The announcers kept the video, was still showing it, and the announcers were calling play-by-play as if it was playing stuff. It was actually playing in the game, and then they did a bunch of other memes and stuff for it, including NFL history. There's like a NFL history show that's on the NFL Network. I think it's called a Game's Life or a Player's Life or something like that. And it focuses on certain players and their history and everything they've done with. They did one on the cat. And then they also did Owl Kitty, which is a account on Facebook where they put their black cat into pop culture movies and stuff like that. They put that cat in the game as actually intercepting a pass and stuff like that. So it was kind of funny, but it was a big deal for a while. It was the one thing that everyone wanted to talk about the next day instead of the game, really, because it was kind of a crappy game. I think it was the Jets and the Cowboys, I think. No, the Jets lost to Miami. It was the Cowboys and the Giants. That's what it was. So it was kind of a crappy game anyway. So that was the big thing they wanted to discuss. Microsoft tested a 4-day work week and productivity went up 40%, which just goes to show you if you give workers more days off, they will work harder and better for you, and your productivity will be up. Even though you might be losing a day of productivity or sales or whatever, your productivity will be up, and you'll basically probably make up for whatever you lose for shutting down for an extra day. So we'll see what happens. I don't think anything's going to come of it. It's just one place, and every company has their own way of doing things. Nose warmers are a thing this winter. I think I might discuss this on the show before. Either it's a little thing that you put over your nose and wraps around your ears to protect your nose from getting too cold during the upcoming brutally cold winter and snow stuff that's going to be rolling its way in here very soon. Voyager 2 has sent back its first message from interstellar space. Voyager 2 and Voyager 1 are the only man-made objects that are now outside of the Milky Way. They're in sort of this, what they call interstellar space, which is in between galaxies or whatever. So it sent back its first message from outside the interstellar space and outside of our galaxies. That's pretty cool news. Also, dinosaurs lived on the other side of the galaxy. Now, the Milky Way rotates, and we rotate within it. Our solar system rotates within it as well, and there's a specific star in the Milky Way, which is our sun, and that rotates around the Milky Way as well. So there was points where the sun might have been over here, and now it's like over here, which is present day. So when it was over here, that was when the dinosaurs were on Earth. So now over here. So it was basically on the other side of the galaxy. So it was doing a rotation around. That's just kind of a neat little thing. It's not really a big story, but it's kind of a neat little, interesting little tidbit or bon mot you can tell your friends or whatever. Drunk woman, obviously, at a rave, decided she was going to squirt her breast milk at people. So she got up and she lifted up her shirt and showed off her breasts and went and started spraying people with her breast milk. So go for it, lady. Wonderful. Nightmare Before Christmas advent calendars are a thing now, and you'll have, if you like your Nightmare Before Christmas stuff, it's 24 days of Nightmare Before Christmas stuff. Harry Potter has another advent calendar. I think they've had one before. They have a Funko Pop one, but this one is full of sweets from Honeydukes, which is the fictional candy shop from the Harry Potter series. So I guess each one will have a wrapper from Honeydukes, and it's a different type of candy that was mentioned probably in the Harry Potter series. We're actually in book 6 now with Noah, so he's almost done there. What the hell is that? I don't know what that says, so I'll question that. I'll put a question mark next to that. Softball team dresses up as 90s wrestlers to play their games in. So that's kind of, I know what that is. Snowman Christmas. Okay. So if you were a fan of wrestling in the 90s, which was, to me, I think was honestly like the biggest time for wrestling with the Hulk Hogan's and the stuff like that, well, people are now dressed up in these types of costumes. Their actual softball team, they're playing softball in these costumes. Snowman Christmas trees, that's what I couldn't read before. This year seems to be all kinds of Christmas trees. I've mentioned them on the show various times. Well, this one's a snowman one where it looks like a snowman. It's all white and it's got like round stuff, but it's a Christmas tree and you can have your decorations on it, stuff like that. So if you like your snowman, you can get a snowman Christmas tree now, available now. An 8th grade science project has pretty much gotten rid of the blind spot. Basically what it looks like is the area where you think you have a blind spot, usually like a bar, which was like separating the doors from the windows, stuff like that. They say use a clear plastic over it and not a solid thing. It'll still do its job, but it'll be clear and you can actually see out the spot and not, okay, I can't see anything there, but now you can actually, if you look carefully, you can see it over there or see it over there. So that's actually kind of a really brilliant idea, and hopefully it'll be something that they will work on in the future. I talked a little bit about Bigfoot earlier. Florida is looking for Bigfoot. Well, Teddy Roosevelt former president, hunter, natural national park guy who created national parks and wants the outdoors to thrive and survive. He wrote a book about his, I think I have it upstairs actually, haven't read it yet, wrote a book about his, excursions in the wild. And he apparently in this book wrote about an anecdote he had gotten from somebody he interviewed while writing this book. And this guy's anecdote from the 1800s, basically from what they didn't come out right out and say it, because I don't think it maybe at that time when Teddy wrote it, it didn't have an actual name, but it sounds an awful lot like a Bigfoot sighting. Now, I read the Bigfoot Chronicles, or not the Bigfoot Casebook, excuse me. And there are Bigfoot sightings that go all the way back to the 1800s. And there's also, if you look, probably even 1700s, Native American stories about wild men in the woods and stuff like that. So Bigfoot's probably been around for a long time. So this anecdote that this guy told to Teddy Roosevelt sounds a lot like a Bigfoot sighting. So the fact that Teddy Roosevelt printed it in his book at the same time and didn't dismiss it outright goes to show you that another reason why Teddy Roosevelt was one of the best presidents ever, because he was interested in Bigfoot as well. The Mighty Ducks, the movie that led to Anaheim getting a hockey team and calling it the Mighty Ducks, will be making a TV series for Disney Plus, which actually makes a lot of sense because hockey is fairly popular right now. And a TV series about a young group of hockey kids who are underdogs as they become better than their opponents is actually an interesting idea and concept. It's just taking the movie and instead of just glossing over them getting better with a periodic, montage of them getting better, you can actually spread out a little bit and show them actually doing it. So I think that might be a pretty good idea. Police arrest a motorist who was taking his driver's test unsupervised. So basically, he was taking his driver's test to get his license, but he didn't have a licensed driving inspector with him, but was just driving around on his own and I guess was doing something he wasn't supposed to, and the police pulled him over. So that's kind of funny about that. Pat Sajak had emergency surgery and will miss a number of episodes of Wheel of Fortune. So Vanna White will be taking over the hosting duties. Should be interesting to see Vanna hosting the show instead of just doing the letters. So that'd be kind of interesting to see that. So you've got Al Trebek, who's had his cancer scare, and now Pat Sajak has emergency surgery stuff. It's not a good time to be a old school game show host. But Al Trebek should be okay, and Pat Sajak will be okay as well. Queen Latifah is going to be starring in a remake of the Equalizer TV show and a new TV series based on the Equalizer, which will be called the Equalizer also, but instead of it being a male Equalizer, it'll be Queen Latifah being the Equalizer, which is kind of an interesting idea and should be interesting to check that out as well. Martin Scorsese pens an op-ed for the New York Times to clarify his comments about the MCU, and it really doesn't do much to change what has already been said. He said one thing and then he sort of backed off of it, and so basically he's just trying to clarify his thing, and he's saying that yes, the MCU is popular film stuff and it is actual film and so on and so forth, but he was lamenting more along the lines that the independent film movie theater stuff like that are disappearing because of these blockbuster type of things. So yeah, I'm done with all this, so I don't want to talk about that. I will talk about comic book movies, though. The Batman with Robert Pattinson last week cast, I think I mentioned it, cast their Catwoman and the Riddler and Commissioner Gordon. This week they cast Matthew McConaughey as Two-Face, which is actually kind of a brilliant, I think, casting on that end. Colin Farrell will be the Penguin. We'll see. Might be interesting. And Andy Serkis will be Alfred, which is kind of an interesting take on Alfred. So we'll see how that all goes. But he has that toughness that Alfred needs to have to be a to be an Alfred. So we'll see what happens. So that movie now appears to have about 5 or 6 bad guys in it. 5 or 6 bad guys in it. But again, a lot of people are saying that it's probably an adaptation of The Long Halloween, kind of, and all the bad guys are in it. So we'll see. But it's making me kind of a bit more excited about the movie coming up. So we'll see what happens. I'd love to hear Martin Scorsese's take on this. James Dean, Jimmy Dean, the actor who's been dead for 40 some years, and died in a car accident, actually, and only made a couple of big hits, Rebel Without a Cause, and I just had it top of my head. I forget the other one. But he made a couple of big films. Guess what? He's going to make another one. No, it's not lost footage that's being put together and released after 40 years in the vault. No, because of the advent of the CGI, where there have been de-aging actors so they can play younger versions of themselves, like in the upcoming Martin Scorsese film, The Irishman. Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Al Pacino, all of them are going to be shown as much younger and then progressing as them getting older as well. Well, not Pacino, because he plays Hoffman. He gets killed in 1970. But you'll see them age, but they're also going to be de-aged in the movie as well. Will Smith did it in the Gemini Man. Peter Cushing showed up in Rogue One, even though he was dead, playing Tarkin. So sorry, my mind is just it's late. So James Dean is going to be making a movie set in Vietnam, and basically they're going to just CGI him into it. So basically they'll have somebody do the movements for James Dean, do the lines and so on and so forth like that. And then they're going to CGI James Dean's likeness over that body, and then I guess find ways to use the lines from other movies so that it's his voice coming out of it. I guess that'd be my assumption. Is that how they're going to do that? I don't think they're going to have a James Dean impersonator, and I just think this is bad. I don't want to see dead movie stars in new movies. I want to see new stars or current stars in movies. I don't want to see James Dean it's like what Jeff Goldblum said. Just because you could doesn't mean you should. Just because you now have the ability that you can create a whole movie around a dead actor or actress doesn't mean you should. It doesn't seem right. So, to be continued. We'll see what happens. Blue Bunny Ice Cream will be making a Snickerdoodle flavor for the holidays. Snickerdoodles are those cookies with the cinnamon on it, so it could be pretty good. Snickerdoodles are pretty good, and cinnamon ice cream seems to be a hot thing now, so that'd be good. Also in time for Christmas, you can have your unicorn light up Christmas decoration out on your front lawn. If you don't want to do any inflatables or any other stuff going on, you can get a unicorn that lights up. Christmas unicorn, I guess, that lights up on the outside of your house as well. A powerful storm rolled through upstate New York this week, and it dislodged a cargo ship that has been stuck on Niagara Falls for 101 years. So it was so strong that the ship that's been stuck in Niagara Falls for 101 years actually got moved. It didn't get fully saved, I don't think, but it got moved a lot further than it has in 101 years, and I think got lodged up again. But the fact is, it's not here anymore. It's now over here, and that's kind of interesting. Some local news. A man was stabbed to death over an argument about the Popeyes chicken sandwich. I don't know what is the big freaking deal about the Popeyes chicken sandwich. It is a low budget version of the Chick-fil-A sandwich, just using the Popeyes chicken instead of the Chick-fil-A chicken. So the spices will be a little bit different, but I don't get it. And yes, it's a limited time. So that's the other thing also. They're only going to do it for like McRib, but if you're going to do it like that, just do it for a limited time, make as many as you can and sell them, and then just shut it down like they do the McRib for a year. That's how you build the interest and get it, the big sales on it. There's no reason to not make enough and then have lines out the door for it and have people, kill other people for their chicken sandwich. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. An 11-year-old Zimbabwe girl attacked the alligator that attacked her and gouged its eyes out. So basically, this 11-year-old girl was, I guess, playing in the water or whatever, and a crocodile tried to attack the girl. The girl took offense to that, jumped onto the alligator, started beating it with her fists, and then gouged its eyes out. Now, you might think, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. At the same time, though, is that the alligator was, saw potential for food and went after it. And the fact that the girl retaliated by gouging out its eyes, I guess you can praise her, I guess, but at the same time, the alligator was just doing what it was supposed to. It was hungry, it saw potential food, and it attacked. That's what it does. That's what animals do. And the fact that you blinded this alligator for no other reason than that, they tried to kill me, I don't know if I'm a big fan of that. But that's just me. Deshaun Watson, speaking of Popeyes, Deshaun Watson, quarterback for the Houston Texans, pretty good quarterback as well. He had an eye injury last week, and they weren't sure he was going to play. They were over in London to play the Jaguars, I believe. And Deshaun Watson ate a spicy Popeyes chicken sandwich. Not the same one as the one I just talked about. It's a different one, I think. A spicy Popeyes chicken sandwich. I think it is, or maybe it is the same one. I don't know. But he claims after he ate that, the injury to his eye seemed to dissipate and disappear and heal due to spicy Popeye chicken sandwich. I'm wondering, maybe it is the one that everybody is talking about, but that's interesting, I guess. I don't know. Can eating a Popeye spicy chicken sandwich cure your injuries? Possibly. Don't know. A woman accuses a park ranger of sexual assault because the park ranger would not allow her to cut in line. This woman has no idea the consequences of her actions and what it could do to anybody. Being accused of sexual assault is not a joking matter. And just because they did not let you cut, which is wrong in all cases, does not mean you can cry sexual assault, because there was none and you were a lying bitch. Unbelievable. More Christmas stuff. Target is selling a giant cookie cutter that can make 24 cookies at one time, which is really kind of cool. So basically, you get this giant cookie cutter that has all these different designs on it. It's about this big, and there's like 24 different designs. So you got the Christmas tree and the snowflakes and presents and Santa Claus and snowmen and reindeer and stuff like that. So you got all these things like that. So you flatten out your cookie dough and you plop this cookie cutter on top of it, press it all down, and bingo, you've got 24. You can put them on the rack to cook them, and there you go, just like that. Boom, 24 cookies done. It's actually not a bad idea, and it's actually kind of a neat little thing there. 1 million cannibal ants were trapped in a nuclear weapons bunker, and they have now escaped. Now, it doesn't mean that they are cannibal. Cannibal means when you eat your own self. So it's not like they're going to come after humans now. But the fact is that they had 1 million of these ants trapped in a bunker. For what reason? No idea. But now they're loose. I don't know. Just seemed weird. I think I talked about this story before too, but I figured I'd bring it up again here at 10:37 p.m. Russia takes their slap fighting to a new level with butt slapping. So now, the slapping competitions are where you've seen the TV or the YouTube videos or whatever, where two people face off against each other. The first person goes, bam, slaps the other person as hard as they can. And the other person goes, bam, to the other one. And they keep hitting harder and harder and harder till one cannot take the stinging. Because that doesn't hurt. But ow, ow, that hurts. So just think about them doing that more than that. But now they're doing the butt slapping. I do some butt slapping tonight, but I have my own little butt slapping competition. But this is something that just seems weird. You have a bunch of people facing off each other. Instead of slapping each other in the face, you slap each other in the butt till it hurts too much. That might actually turn people on, actually, a little bit more than you think. How many stories I got left? Oh, man, I'm almost done here. Okay, I got 2 trailer stories and then my last story of the day. Okay. The Invisible Man trailer came out this week. Blumhouse, which is a new horror group that's been making these updated horror films, stuff like that, and been doing a pretty good job. They've been fairly successful. That's why they keep churning these out. They also, I didn't put this in my notes, but I just remembered it. They are also going to be doing a new version of Scream. So the original Scream was always interesting, as was the sequels to it. And the concept is fantastic about a serial killer wearing a costume, whereas, these Jasons and Freddys and Michael Myers, who the killers are. This case, you don't. And that's part of the fun, is trying to figure out who the killer is. And so they can keep doing that. Should be good. But Blumhouse is doing an Invisible Man trailer. And you should probably just give them the rights to your dark universe that Universal is trying to do, which is try to bring all the Universal monsters back under one world, like Marvel does. And they were trying to do that. They did that with the Tom Cruise Dracula, and they set up a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with Russell Crowe, and they were going to do a Bride of Frankenstein with Angelina Jolie, I think, and there was a bunch of these other things they had planned out. Well, Invisible Man is part of that right now, but somehow I guess Blumhouse got the rights to do their Invisible Man movie. And from what it looked like, this trailer is very creepy, very horror-esque, since Blumhouse, as I said, is a very horror-esque cinema production company. And I was surprised when I saw a trailer that, hey, I saw an old friend, Aldous Hodge, who plays Hardison on one of my favorite shows, Leverage, is in this movie as well. But it has this Elizabeth Moss as the main character. And from what I gathered from the trailers, that she's in an abusive relationship and she runs away from him. And later she discovers that he committed suicide and he left everything to her. But when she goes to move into the mansion, I guess, that he had, or whatever, because I think they were just boyfriend. I don't think they were married. They might have just been boyfriend, girl. I don't know. But she got rich, and when she goes to the house that he lives in, all this weird stuff starts happening. She senses someone's in there, and stuff is happening. Like there's a scene where she's standing in this hallway, like outside, and all of a sudden, breath appears behind her, and then there's some other stuff going on. It just looks really, really creepy and really, really weird that he somehow became invisible, even though everybody else claimed that he was dead, committed suicide, and his ashes are in a box. But somehow he might have become invisible. Don't know. So it's kind of more of a horror-esque to it, which is that's what the monsters were. It wasn't Tom Cruise's The Mummy, not Dracula. Excuse me. So if Blumhouse can get a hit with this Invisible Man movie, they might be the ones that you might want to say, well, why don't you do the dark universe type of thing you were thinking about doing anyway? And then they can do a Mummy movie, and they can do a Dracula movie, and they can do a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and the Phantom of the Opera, or whatever you want to do for these Wolfman type of movies, but make it with that horror edge to it. Because let's face facts, Universal Monsters was early horror. I mean, when you watch them now, they're not that bad because you grew up during the time of Friday the 13th and Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream and the Saw movies and stuff like that. these weren't so bad, but they were still the horror movies of the time. So now why don't you just update it to Blumhouse? I think if this movie is a success, that's what they should definitely do. They should shift this whole dark universe stuff over to Blumhouse. Let Blumhouse be the guy to say, okay, I want this person to do it. 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 Make your movies. They make them for cheap. You get them good. You don't need to have a Tom Cruise be in them. You don't need to have a Russell Crowe be in them. You just can get, like Elizabeth Moss or Aldous Hodge or whatever, and you get them in there, and boom, you got yourself. And it makes a lot of money. It's made for $20 million. If it makes $40 million, makes $50 million, it's making money. If it makes $100 million, it's made a ton of money. So I think it's a good idea. It was creepy. It was very, very creepy. And that's kind of what I think you want to do with that stuff like that. Also, Christopher Nolan's new film, Tenet, has been getting a little bit of buzz. No, Christopher Nolan is the guy that likes to keep things close to the vest, doesn't want to tell anybody what he's doing and what the movie's about. He just says, this is the name of the movie, this is who's in it. Robert Pattinson is in this version of the movie, and there's also Isaiah Washington or something like that as the other actor in it. I'm not exactly sure. Let me get the proper name. I don't want to give credit to someone who doesn't deserve it. But so the first trailer for Tenet came out. Again, huge, just a teaser. It's John David Washington, Robert Pattinson, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Himesh Patel, Michael Caine, Kenneth Branagh are all in it. So it's a thriller action film, but you don't really get much from the teaser trailer. It's just the actor Washington, John David Washington, just sort of walking in this weird room and him getting dragged down a hallway like he's going to jail or something like that. Just kind of weird thing. Just Tenet. So it's what Nolan does. It's not coming out till next year. So that's just the epitome of a teaser trailer to get you saying, what the hell did I just watch, and get you interested in wanting to see what it is. And then he'll drop one probably around the Super Bowl time, probably in February. He'll probably drop a new one on there. So we shall see. That is all except for the last story of the day, which is a Christmas story. A Nashville bar has created a rooftop bar that is Christmas igloos. So basically, there's like 6 different bars on this rooftop, and it looks more like a Christmas snow globe and not really a Christmas igloo. And you walk into this thing, and it's a little section. It's a little bar. You can fit maybe 5 people probably in there, but it's got different colored lights and different themes and stuff like that. So each one has a different theme, but they're all a bar like that, and you can hang out with friends, stuff like that, and see what you kind of like on that. So that's kind of a neat little idea, intriguing, particularly for the Christmas season and stuff like that. That's it. I can now switch to the divider is now done, and I can see the next chapter of this 322. 322, we will see when 322 comes out. We are having visitors. We will be having a visitor here next weekend, so we will see if I will be here for that. I probably will be, because they'll be in on Saturday night, and they usually go stay at a hotel, and I stay home, so I'll probably be able to do it. So we'll see. But this week is interesting because on Tuesday, Disney Plus will be released to the world. I think they just announced that it's now going to be available on Amazon's Fire Stick, as well as a whole bunch of other things. So it's not going to be like, you're going to need to find a way to get it to stream through your television. I don't think I have that way presently. I mean, they do. You can get it from your iPhone, obviously. You can get on there, but you're not going to want to do this, watch a movie on your phone. You want to watch it on the big screen. So I may have to drop $50 onto an Amazon Fire Stick. That doesn't seem too bad to get a lot of the stuff that you get with it. So I'll have to take a look at it and do a little more research on that. But yes, Disney Plus arrives on Tuesday, which means the debut of The Mandalorian, debut of the movie Noelle, debut of the movie Lady and the Tramp, App State 1, and all the Disney and Marvel movies streaming, The Simpsons, just everything that you've seen about there will all be starting to stream on as of Tuesday the 12th. They also announced that Avengers Endgame will be available on opening day to be streaming through Disney Plus. So there's that. And then Friday, the 15th, will be the release of Pokemon Sword and Shield, the new Pokemon game for the Nintendo Switch. I have both copies waiting for me at my game store. Be drop about $100, but my wife likes the game, and we'll be playing that probably over the next couple of weeks. So, got a lot of stuff coming up this week. Enjoy your week, and we will see you back here again next week, hopefully, as we start inching closer to the Christmas season. Thanks very much for watching, and take care of yourselves.